Hey YouTube, what's going on? Today we'll be talking about how to tighten, loosen, or adjust your chain. My bike is a Ninja 300, but this will apply to most bikes. What you can see in front of you is the tools you'll need. You'll need a breaker bar, a torque wrench, a hammer, some pliers, and a socket for your rear axle. Let's get started. Alright, your first step is going to be loosening your rear axle so you can get the back wheel to slide forward and backwards. As you can see, I've already started. You're going to have what's called a cotter pin in your rear axle. This piece here and this piece here will be folded around just to make sure there's no way the nut can loosen while riding. I've already got it flattened out pretty well. I can't really get my hammer very well right here. Well, maybe I can. Other options, you can put your pliers through. Put pliers through. And just hammer it out that way. Alright, your next step. Take your breaker bar and whatever size socket you need. On my bike it's 24mm for the rear axle. Now, this is your first time doing it from the factory. It may be a little harder to get it off because they're going to tighten those things real down. But you just want to get it loose. You don't need to take the whole thing off, just loose enough where you can get some play. Alright, your next step, now the back wheel can move freely. So my user's guide says it needs to be in the tightest point, have 0.8 to 1.2 inches of travel. My tightest point is developed right here. I do not have very much travel at all. So I need to loosen my chain. How that's done is I need to bring the back wheel forward. Now, manufacturer recommends starting out with your nuts right here, your adjusting nuts, all the way out. Let's go ahead and do that. Now here are some other tools you're going to need that I forgot to mention. These should be in your toolkit. For my bike, the first, let's see if you can see it. There are two nuts. First one is 14mm. The second one is 12. Let's go ahead and back these off. Let me go do this for the other side real quick. Alright, both sides are loose, and you can freely move the back wheel forward. Now, it's very surprising how little travel equals to how much slack. So, right now we have the bike wheel pushed as far forward as we can. Let's go ahead and get those tightened down. Make sure your plate here is seated right. You don't want it like this. It might pop into place while riding. Throw off your alignment. Alright, so we've got both sides a little tight. As tight as they'll go when you're driving the bike. The wheel all the way forward. You can still slide back. So, the left side, you tighten to get your chain in spec. And then the right side, you tighten to get your wheel aligned. So let's go ahead and do the left side. We have much more than 0.8 to 1.2. Remember, my tightest point was when the master link was about here. So that's a good, what, 2, 3? It's clearly pretty loose. Now, if you tighten this bolt, it brings these closer, which means it brings the back wheel back, which means it tightens the chain. And you don't need very many turns to get it tight. Let's just do a few. See what it looks like. Okay, so that wasn't very many. And our chain is still pretty loose. How about now? Still pretty loose, but we're getting a little better. Alright, let's check it now. Alright, that's getting close. Let's get it a little more tighter. What do you think? Maybe just a little bit more. Alright, that looks pretty good. Maybe just a tad bit more. Alright. Now you want to tighten the second bolt up. Okay, so now we have the left side good. Next, we're going to get the wheel aligned. Okay, every bike should have some sort of adjustment system like this. We got hash marks here on the swing arm, and then a plate that's supposed to be lined up with the center of the axle that slides based on where you have it. As we can see, I have it just slightly behind 1, 2. So on the other side, we want to get it at that same spot. So let's go try that. Alright, we're set up on the right side now. Our plate is pretty much all the way at the front. Now remember, we're starting it with it as loose as we can, which means far forward. When we start tightening these, it will bring these closer, which means it brings the back wheel back. Now, an important thing to note on a Ninja 300, this plate slides, and that's a lot of wiggle room. It should be all the way forward. So what I'll do is I'll get this bolt tightened, hand tightened, so whenever I pull this back, the plate slides with it. Let's go ahead and start. As you can see, as I tighten, the axle comes backwards, as does the plate. And that's the reasoning for tightening that bolt. Once again, make sure you've got your plate situated. You don't want it popping in while you're riding and giving your back wheel play. Alright, we're getting close now. Let's go double check the other side and see if it's one thing you want to make sure you're looking at it. Hopefully you can see it by the muffler as well as you can, parallel with the axis. Now, it looks like I might have gone a little too far. Looks like I did go just a hair too far. In that case, the easiest thing to do is to back it off a good bit and then start tightening again. Make sure you get that plate all the way forward. Alright. Let's try it again. Alright. Now let's check. I think that looks pretty good. Yeah. Next step. Get that tightened. Alright. Now, you're going to want to tighten that nut, the rear axle nut. Every bike is different. There is a manufacturer rated spec for the torque it needs to be done to. The Ninja 300 is 72 foot-pounds. Adjust your torque wrench. If you do not have one, like I do not, you can go to AutoZone. You can rent them. They are pretty expensive. That's what I do for the breaker bar as well. I've got it set at 72. If you do 73 or 71, you won't die. And you want to tighten. Now, with a breaker bar, when you get to your desired torque, if I pull up, you're going to hear this clicking noise. That's the breaker bar, the torque wrench doing its job. Don't keep pulling. Now you're done. With the brake torque wrench anyway. The last step is going to be your cotter pin. Alright, your last step, your cotter pin. Personally, I will reuse a cotter pin once. You can probably getting away with using it 2 or 3 times. But it's a piece that costs less than $1, and I'd rather not let that break and cause my back wheel to fail on the highway. I think it's worth 80 cents. Drop it in. I can find my pliers. Looks like you guys took it from. And then you just bend it back, each side, coil it around. cotter pin doesn't have to be a work of art. They've got it on there. It won't slide out. You've torqued it down. Your back wheel isn't going anywhere, and now your chain is in spec. And that is how to adjust your motorcycle chain.